They stapled that neon orange eviction notice right to my old pine gate like they were hanging a for sale sign on my whole damn life. 3 strangers with clipboards standing there, like they'd rehearsed for this moment, grinning those too tight smiles that never even bothered to reach their eyes. "You've got 24 hours to vacate the one in front," said Coulter Community Compliance like he was calling out lottery numbers. Picture this. I'm halfway up a ladder, wind tearing through the shade cloth. I'm trying to fix on my hoop house staple gun in hand, my old dog Clover giving him a side-eye from behind a pile of feed sacks. And I'll tell you right now, I was so shocked I nearly stapled my own boot to the ladder. You ever hear anything so crazy? The air out there smelled like wet sage and old hay. Real mountain land, rough as a saw blade, paid off with years of double shifts and the sale of a repair shop I'd built with these 2 hands. Not a cul-de-sac, not some cookie-cutter neighborhood. "Evicted," I said, rolling the word around my mouth like a bad joke. Coulter nodded, dead serious. Per Section 9.3, failure to join the Homeowners Association and comply with architectural standards constitutes a material breach. Then they rattled off a laundry list: unapproved livestock, unapproved structures, fencing that's not 4-rail stained cedar natural tone. 4 rails out here, I nearly laughed, but Britta, the woman with the silver sunglasses, laughed first like I'd flubbed her favorite joke. "You were notified several times, certified mail. The board voted." And she said it with the same finality as a judge dropping a gavel. 24 hours or deputies would haul me off my own land. "I'm not in any association," I told them. "My deed doesn't mention one." She gives me this look, too calm, too rehearsed. "You are now." This parcel was annexed into Aspen Bluff Estates on June 1st. We recorded an amendment. Welcome to the neighborhood. Except there is no neighborhood. Coulter, now in his element, starts rattling off numbers, back dues, fines, legal fees, initiation, whatever that means. "We can take a card," he says, and I'm standing there like I've wandered into the wrong universe. I told them to leave my gate, and the third guy, lanky, nervous, tried to hand me a glossy pamphlet with a smiling family and a pond I've never seen in my county. I pried that eviction notice off the gate, the staple creaking like it didn't want to let go, and Clover let out a low growl. After their SUV finally left dust boiling down my driveway, I stood there with that neon notice in my hand, feeling the kind of dread that only comes right before a spring storm, barn rafters humming air too heavy to breathe. But I'm not an idiot. I called my lawyer Tessa, practical local, not the high-rise kind, sent her photos of the notice and the pamphlet. Then I called the non-emergency sheriff's line, asked if they were sending anybody to throw me off my own property. Dispatcher told me, "We don't get involved in civil association stuff, but if anyone trespasses or tries to force you out, call us." 14 years, I said. Copy that. Tessa called back, told me not to let anyone on my property tomorrow, asked for my deed info, parcel number, legal description. This land was exempted from the subdivision when it was created. You're what they call a remainder tract. No recorded covenants tie you to them. They said they recorded an amendment, I told her. They can record paper all day, she said, but if it clouds title without authority, it's a problem. She asked for the pamphlet return address. I think I know what game they're playing. Apparently this game's gotten trendy. Investors take over an association, try to drag nearby properties into their covenants to boost dues and control the view. They file amendments, send scary letters, hope owners cave. Mine was worse. She said they were threatening eviction without a court order. "I'll be there at 11:30, she said. "Call your title insurer, too." Next morning, coffee brewing boots by the door, I called the insurer and explained it all. "Send us what you've got," they said. There are moments when your life splits into before and after, watching those strangers put hands on my gate, hearing somebody say my place was subject to their cedar rails and paint swatches. It made my hands shake. That night, I walked my fence line with Clover, checking for storm damage, slept with the county number on the counter, half a plate of peanut butter cookies eaten because nerves demand tribute. At 11:30, a county SUV rolls up. Deputy Morgan, broad shoulders, patient eyes could pass for anyone's cousin at a barbecue. He asked me to explain. Check my deed, said the sheriff's office doesn't do civil disputes, but no one's putting hands on me without a lawful order. Tessa arrived, boots crunching gravel, spread maps on the hood. They can't just annex non-consenting land, she explained. Your deed is silent. Morgan nodded, but they're trespassing if they try anything. Noon comes, and here's the circus. 3 SUVs, a box truck with community services on the side. Britta in a white blazer, not a speck of dust on her. Britta hands Morgan a board resolution. He reads it, hands it back. This isn't a court order. You can't evict anyone. She blinked, says her board has authority. You don't understand criminal trespass, he tells her, voice hard as old fence posts. They threaten liens foreclosure, the portal. I told her I don't have a portal. She glared at Tessa, then me. Tessa tells her the amendment doesn't match my parcel, that she recorded a nullity clouding title and threatening evictions more than just a civil wrong. Britta's face changed right there like a haunted house painting. Her muscle guys fidgeted, then the whole caravan backed out, dust swirling. After Tessa and I sat at my kitchen table, her scribbling a to-do list that made my head spin. Quiet title action, declaratory judgment damages for slander of title and emotional distress, notify the title insurer and we'll seek a restraining order. I asked if it'd mean months in court. Maybe, but we'll keep them off you. That afternoon, my neighbor Whit, old suspenders, sun-baked hat, drove up, worried I was selling out. When I told him what happened, he admitted they'd come after him too. Told me they wanted to restrict outbuildings. I told them to restrict somewhere else. Down at the lake, folks were mad about fines for gravel old docks rentals. Smart to stay outside the plat, Whit said. I thought that mattered. It does, I told him, and he just nodded. Someone's going to remind them the hard way. The next day, the county recorder sent us copies. 4 documents: annexation, amended covenants, new standards lien policy. The maps were hand-drawn, boundaries were fuzzy. The standards listed paint colors like ocean mist, Euro 2. The so-called access corridor realignment was a fantasy. Tessa sent everything to the title insurer. Leaf, the adjuster, called, recognized. My old surveyor said he'd issue a letter demanding the association withdraw their claims or face damages. But the hits kept coming. A neighbor named Cass showed me a group chat full of new fines and foreclosure threats. The board was threatening to confiscate furniture and kayaks over unpaid dues, writing things they couldn't legally do, but doing them anyway. I barely slept. Anger keeps you up, maybe better than fear. I wrote everything down, took pictures of fences and gates, sent it all to Tessa. We filed for a restraining order and got it. By Friday, the association was barred from coming near me, recording documents, or telling anyone I was under their rules. The process server texted after serving Britta. She was not pleased. Whit said folks wanted a recall, wanted letters in the paper, and asked if I'd thought of keeping bees. We spent 20 minutes talking windbreaks and Clover, like that's all that ever mattered. A few days later, the association's attorney, monogrammed letterhead, and all sent a letter demanding I voluntarily bind myself to the community scheme. Tessa's response was a masterpiece, explaining point by point why their annexation was void threats unlawful and why any entry would be met with law enforcement. She CC'd the title insurer, county attorney, and board members. Then things really twisted. County attorney opened a criminal file, and reports started rolling in about other owners being threatened. I went down with Tessa, told the whole story. And that's when a new player showed up, a guy named Jace Black, pickup parked by my north fence, asking if I wanted to sell a sliver for the community corridor. Turns out these folks were trying to invent pathways to connect their trails, pressuring people to give up land. Leaf, the title guy, said he'd seen this before. Investors take over. Invent common areas, pressure, neighbors make life miserable if you refuse. At the lake, owners fought back special meetings, proper notices, door-to-door packets since the board locked them out of email. I didn't go, but I heard the meeting was chaos. Old board members, a school teacher reading motions from a chair, Britta insisting none of it mattered because she controlled the portal. Someone held up my restraining order, read it aloud. When Britta claimed my case was complicated and ongoing, the room cracked up. Back on the farm, someone cut my north fence clean, snipped T-post, bent tire tracks in the dust. I called the sheriff. Deputy Morgan measured suggested game cameras. Next thing I know, Jay shows up again, acting like nothing happened. I told him if the fence broke again, I'd install a row of prickly pear. He smirked. I said, so did fake evictions. He finally understood I wasn't playing. The hearing came. Judge ruled in my favor. Restraining order stuck. Association ordered to withdraw claims or face sanctions. That was a fence that felt like it'd hold. Then trail cam caught Jace with bolt cutters. Sheriff arrested him for trespass. County attorney charged him, started looking hard at those false filings. The board refused to back down, so we filed for contempt. The courtroom filled. Judge didn't blink. Sanctioned the board, awarded me fees, called out the outsourcing of violations. Suddenly, a forensic audit revealed shell companies self-dealing fake invoices. Britta's paint standard license cost $32,000, and it all went to a shell company. The recall succeeded. Interim board took over, rescinded fines, apologized, promised to pay my fees. But Tessa wanted every penny documented. The final damages, over $100,000 attorney fees, repairs, lost income sanctions, insurance claims. County filed charges. Britta got community service. Jace got probation. Coulter resigned. We recorded a corrective affidavit. My land is mine, not and never subject to their rules. Now life's back to normal. Clover naps under the trees, bees buzz in the field, neighbors wave instead of threaten. If the old board drives by, I raise my glass. Not out of forgiveness, but because they don't take up space in my head anymore. I'm not moving, not joining, and not painting a thing Ocean Mist '02. The sky does its own work. So here's my question. When did community start, meaning you have to give up what's yours? Have you seen something like this where you live? Drop your thoughts below. Let's talk about justice, standing your ground, and the lines you won't let anyone cross. And hey, if you've got your own story about fighting back, I want to hear it. Hit subscribe, share this with someone who needs it, and I'll see you next time.